Joining me right now is the former CEO of Home Depot and Chrysler, Bob Nardelli. Bob, great to see you. Happy to have you as we mark the end of the first half of the year.
You know, Maria, I've been at this for over 50 years now, and I don't think I've ever seen an economy and an environment that is as challenging as this is to run a business, whether public, private, big or small. What I'm hearing from corporate America and the private companies that I deal with is a mounting level of challenges. Certainly inflation continues to be top of the list. You mentioned 8.6, 8.4. I was just with Bank of America, and their forecast going forward is for the quarter is 8.4 going to 8.2. Now, I think this number is woefully understated, Maria. I think there's probably at least another point or more of inflation out there that just isn't being reported. For example, here at my family office, my phone system, its voice over IP was $270 a month. It's now $720 a month. I would venture that every consumer and producer out there could tell you stories of woe where everyone is rushing to get involved in price increases, and also shrink inflation, Maria. When you go to the store and you see the price on the shelf, you may get a comment that it hasn't really changed. But if you look deep inside, the price per ounce, the number of pieces per bag are less. So I think there's quite a bit of hidden inflation that we're feeling as consumers and producers that really isn't making it to the indexes that we see out there, Maria. So it is extremely challenging to run a business. One of the other things we're seeing is some of my mid-cap companies are getting major cancellations from Fortune 5 companies, for example. And what's happening is we're getting stuck with $50, $60 million of inventory that just becomes idle. And we're getting no relief, but it's putting pressure on our covenants with the bank because we're exceeding our working capital numbers. So, Maria, I can go down a list of very, very specific things that are impacting corporate America and private companies and family companies that are really putting tremendous pressure on our ability to survive.
I think you make so many important points, and I'm glad that you brought up inventories because it seems like that's one of our latest issues that is really becoming a problem, and it is showing a GDP down 1.6%. That actually is much worse when you consider the inventory problem. We had a supply problem last year. Now there's too many inventories and not enough demand. You also have higher borrowing costs with the Federal Reserve expecting to raise interest rates 75 basis points at the next meeting at the end of July. What are business managers doing about this, Bob? Are you expecting that inflation worsens the second half of the year? What would be your expectation for the second half?
Yeah, a couple of points. To answer your question specifically, yes, inflation will continue to grow in the second half of this year. Supply chain is still one of the major contributors to inflation, Maria. Keep in mind that we still have over 500 ships out there with containers on them. So what's happening is we still have a lot of inventory, both for manufacturing and finished goods. Also, what's happening is we're out of balance. So we may have 90% of the parts to finish assembly, but we're waiting on, for an example, something simple as a bolt. So that inventory is sitting there idle while we're waiting for one of the container ships to show up to make that part. So it's having a devastating impact on a lot of businesses today. They're out of balance, and supply chain is inseparably linked to inflation. Until we get that resolved, you know, we're going to continue to have inflation. People are going to pass on increases as fast as they can, because it's impacting their bottom line.
The president said he's doing everything he can to get gasoline prices down, and yet there is no pivot whatsoever on the climate agenda. What can he do right now?
The probability is zero of this happening, but he can reverse what he did on inaugural day. Let's allow these energy companies to start drilling again.
We will see if the president is listening. Bob Nardelli, great to catch up with you. Thanks very much for being here.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you.